Welcome to Shop Talks presentation of the InKitchen.com, which is an informational website you can check out, free information, and got all kinds of social media going on in Kitchen and impressions. We got our sponsors listed on either side, and I'm happy to have here with me the Girl Mafia, and we're going to talk a little bit about many things. They don't even know what we're going to talk about, and I don't know what we're going to talk about either.
Could be a surprise.
All right.
For everybody.
So first, there was no way I was going to memorize all this. How about you all introduce yourselves, the company that you work for, where you're from, share the mics nicely.
I'm Nikki. I'm with Machine Gun Graphics out of Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
Where's the eat the mic when you're talking? You got to be louder.
the mic.
And where's your company?
Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
Home of Haines.
I'm Alexa. I'm from In-House Prints in Frenchtown, New Jersey.
I'm Christina Haines. I'm Varsity in Fort Pierce, Florida.
Krissy Gibbons with Varsity in Fort Pierce, Florida.
Alyson Collins, Parkway Print Shop, Williamsburg, Virginia.
JoAnn Rudman. I am from St. Louis, Missouri, and I am with Shirt Kong.
She is Shirt Kong.
All right. So what's the genesis of Girl Mafia? Like what got this started?
I needed friends in the industry that were not boys.
And why would you want that?
Have you met the boys in the industry?
I know the answer, but all of them don't know the answer.
A lot of times the boys in the industry necessarily are like not super nice always. A lot of them are, but not all of them. So I would ask questions in like a Facebook group, and I would get no responses. Alexa said the same thing, and her husband would ask a question, and he would get a bunch of responses for the same question. So I met, my best friend Krissy owns a shop that I work at. I met most of them at Print Hustlers and got their phone numbers and would send them texts and say, hey, what do you think about this ink, or what's wrong with this print? And then I mostly just got tired of texting them individually. So I made a group chat, joked, and called it the Mafia because can't tell you. And then
And we'd be killed if we found out, right?
That's right.
I can't, allegedly. So yeah, that's how it started. And we realized that maybe more girls were also in the industry, and they might need other girls to pay attention to them and help them with things that they were not getting help with. So from there it grew. It became Instagram that Nikki is running. We started right before Long Beach. We have a closed Facebook group for women only. A lot of men have been trying to get into it. They get denied though.
I'll tell a success story of it already. How's that?
I would love that.
All right, so Amy is the manager of my shop, and she asked questions, and she said how refreshing it was, one, to get an answer right away, and also not to get a snarky answer.
No mansplaining.
And no mansplaining, and no dick jokes that followed about 3
Yeah.
answers in.
was
She was like, that's almost a direct quote of how
Different-
happy she
different
was
kind of dick
about it. So
She
it was like
obviously
very
doesn't
refreshing.
know our group.
I know, different kind of dick jokes.
Or maybe it was a funny joke. I can't remember what she
She's
said.
not allowed to tell you, so.
All right. So what's next, and what's the response been?
I'm gonna give it to these two. This is Facebook and Instagram runners.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to
So what's the response been, and like
read her
people like this?
mind.
Yeah. Okay.
So, I mean, really, I think we can all agree that women are underrepresented in the industry, and it's almost refreshing to see, because, you know, we're now this, like, tight-knit group of people that have all the same interests, and we have some of the same problems, but I think the best part about this is all these other girls are coming up to us, and they're like, oh my gosh, like the same things are happening to me. Like, how do I fix this? And we're like, you come and you join the Print Girl Mafia, because we're not going to give you the remarks that you've been receiving. And we're here to help educate you guys as well. You know, we all have different presses. We are looking for an Anatol PGM member. So if you're out there, please come talk to us. We need an Anatol member, Team Red. But the response has been just unreal. Like the fact that we kind of started it as not a joke, but just like as a support group for ourselves. And then we realized like, hey, like there is an actual like market for this. And we're just so happy that everybody's been so supportive and reaching out. And it's awesome.
I can imagine. I mean, I've been doing this a long time, and I have a lot of employees that are not, white guys. And for them to get a trade show is a perfect example, and I'm sure you've run into this. But you walk around, and if you don't introduce somebody that's a woman or a person of color working for me, they get treated like crap. So. Ever have that happen? Not anymore. All right, I like that. So, actually, I want to talk about that because I think some people that have not experienced it or new maybe should know what they're in for. What kind of things have you run into before like that?
Like a personal story.
Like you're going to buy a press and you're ignored in the booth, like that. Maybe
So-
something like that happened? I'm just guessing.
So my husband's not here right now, but he's probably gonna watch this. Hey Tyler, thanks for staying back and working. I'm the gatekeeper of the business, and most of the time people walk in. I have my desk at the front. I'm the only person that has a desk in the front, and they assume that I'm not the business owner. So they come in and they say, I'm looking to speak with the business owner. And I usually say how can I help you? And they're like, oh, well, I'm looking to speak to the business owner. And I'm like, oh. Hi, I'm Alexa. How can I help you? So it's like that type of mentality. Yeah, I have a swivel chair, so it's way cooler when I'm at the shop. It's like, yeah. So that type of mentality is what kind of really gets me, because I'm not saying that Tyler couldn't run the business without me, but he couldn't.
You are saying that.
But I also couldn't run it without him. So there's this whole thing, like on The Voice, you don't see the person that's singing. You don't know what they look like. You don't know who they are, all of that. It's kind of like that. If nobody knew that I was a girl, would they treat me differently? So that's the sad part about it. And so we're trying to change that. So by making this group, it's working. It's really working.
That's awesome. Any other experiences? Maybe at a trade show? You don't need to name names, but you can if you want.
We're gonna name names.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe if you want to, go for it. Any other experiences of what it's like to otherwise, without your mafia with you, go around to the show booths?
Well, I got one for ours today.
All right,
Okay,
go ahead.
so I had 3 people so far stop by our booth, and they're like, I'm gonna get some of these stickers. Almost my whole shop is women, and they'll definitely want these stickers. So if that is you, send the women to these shows too, please. So glad you're here, but also maybe send some of them. Over and over. I'm gonna take these for women at my shop. Most of my shop is women. One gentleman told me that he's gonna start a shop and hire a woman to run it so that he can go on vacation. So we're just doing the work.
Yeah.
That is
Might as well at
interesting.
least get credit.
Literally-
Might as well at least get credit for it, right?
We did have somebody today that actually said the same thing. He was like, if I could have all women running my presses, I would rather. Because it's almost like we can stay on task and we can do multiple things at the same time. Whereas when there's 2 men up there chatting, they pull their attention off and then they stop doing what they're doing and they're not throwing shirts on there anymore. So I did think that was interesting as well. I thought it was very introspective.
Even the booth has been.
What's that?
Even the booth, just being at the booth for this show has
Yeah.
been pretty.
Yeah. What's the response been?
It's been really positive. We are under the umbrella of Unite Together, which is a foundation that's working for inclusion within the community. And they so graciously have sponsored our booth, as well as a happy hour today from 6:30 to 8:30 at the Ton Tavern. It's probably going to be better than the shirt show one last night. So if you need wristbands, so we've got wristbands for women.
I've got some extra.
They're over at our booth when we're all done.
Yeah, if you guys are
If
gonna
anyone
be
needs
around.
any.
So, it's a leading question, but what kind of things? Some of you own the business, run it, etc. What are some of the barriers, or what do you run into in your business life, not necessarily at a show, that's been an issue because you're a woman?
So
Like banks treat you real good, for example?
I don't have any personal experiences of being treated poorly in the industry necessarily, except that I feel like I can't be as open and ask as many questions. So it's almost like there's that, I'm nervous to ask the question because I'm probably alone. I don't know anything, and so I feel like once you figure out that there's other people that feel the same way, then you're more comfortable to ask something, right? So like even so ridiculous as we had some weird set of shirts that came in, and I texted all these ladies and I'm like, has anybody else had any problem with this brand? Everything is coming out crooked, but everything is on straight. I don't understand what's going on, but it was like the sewing. So it's interesting to just be able to bounce that kind of information off of each other, whereas I would not have normally put that out or even called a friend or whatever, but I feel comfortable to just be like, ladies, I'm not putting it on crooked, I promise. But some other dude would probably be like, you're not doing it right. Let me help you with that. So definitely, I feel like we have that kind of relationship,
Other experiences maybe to share, like the one where someone comes in and expects you're not the boss?
So one of our first initiatives is actually safety in the workplace for women. We work a lot, and a lot of times like walking to our car in the dark. In college I was grabbed in a parking lot, so it didn't last long. Just so you guys know, the Alpha Broder cutoff for East Coast is in 45 minutes. My alarm just went off.
Wow, you know that and you're a girl? That's amazing.
I know. Well, I don't know it. I set alarms.
And who taught you to use your watch?
Myself. Wow.
Okay.
That's so cool.
She is our tech girl. If anybody needs any help, I promise you she can probably teach you 10
Super
things.
nerdy. Like I said, our first initiative is safety. Our friend Alyson has a friend. We're going to have these in our group. We made some keychains that look like our lightning bolt, but turns out that they could definitely be used like walking to your car to hurt someone, shank someone. We're working on...
I wonder where the Mafia Park came
I
in.
mean,
And here it is,
this
these
is how deep
stabbing
we're in.
badges that
It's
you
a
wear.
lot easier than like beating someone's ass, which I had to do. But also, no, I'm never done. We just decided we're going to set up a voicemail for women to give a phone number out. Shout out to these guys. They helped me come up with that. So that if someone is like, let me get your number, they can give the number, and the voicemail is going to be one of us, like, saying, hey, the girl who gave you this number doesn't want you to talk to her. Leave her alone. Thanks for calling.
800 blow off or something?
No, it's going to be a legit phone number. It's just going to go to a Google voicemail, and it's also texting. So, like, we can be like, if you've received this phone number, she doesn't want to talk to you.
Wow, this is a new one. I didn't know this one.
But that's exactly the point, is that there's a ton of things that we face that we have no idea, like unruly customers who come
You're
in.
saying no one wants my number?
I'm just saying that no one probably gives you a fake number.
True.
We have, like, if a customer comes in and they're upset and they're a large dude, like, it's me and Chris, our entire shop is women. So they're, like, we sometimes feel defenseless. Like, luckily, we
You
have
have
not
those
really had that
things.
happen. Now,
The stabbing things.
now we have the Mafia. Now
All right.
I'm not worried.
All right, that's cool.
Oh,
How
We
about
also
other
have
stuff?
the local police, fortunately. We do their printing, so.
So a big one that I run into is when I say no. Specifically when it comes to like t-shirt minimums. 24 pieces. Like, I understand that maybe that's a lot for some people, but like that's how I run my business. And when I say no, they try and go to Tyler and try and get an answer out of him. And like this has now happened a couple of times, and it's pretty frustrating, but I think people are now starting to respect me a little bit more because they know that I'm kind of the one that's going to make that final decision within the business. And I think that we as women need to understand that saying no isn't a bad thing. Like, you're allowed to say no. You're allowed to have an opinion. Like, you're allowed to say that. And honestly, like, how many jobs have you guys quoted out and you overquote it because you don't want to do it? You should just say no. Just say no. Don't overquote the job and then get it and then have to be like, well, crap, I don't even know how I'm going to print this, because now you've created a headache for yourself and it shouldn't have even been an issue. You could have just said, 2 letters and been done.
Maybe you should do a double whammy. Not tell people you're the boss. Tell them the minimum. Then then say, "Would you like to talk to the boss?" And yes. You say, "Well, I am. Too bad." No. You know.
I've honestly, I think actually, I feel like, did we talk? Maybe we didn't talk about it. I know that I've talked about it before on a podcast of some sort, but I've gotten so much better at it because I'm more aware of it. So start keeping track of the amount of times that you say yes when you really want to say no, and just rethink it through and then change it.
No.
Okay.
Other barriers that you've run into that you crashed through?
Well,
I want to ask about like the financing one. I've heard that complaint. Is there anything
oh,
with
no,
that?
not financing. No, thankfully.
Banks, all that.
Yeah.
They're okay.
You what? Yeah, right. No,
So
thankfully.
Tyler and I are part business owners, so I can't really do anything without him.
Yeah.
So I don't run into that specifically,
Yeah.
but I could see that being a thing.
I think pricing. I'll say like I think it took me a long time. Like I felt like I undervalued myself. So people say that there's like that glass level, right? You can't get over it, and whether we're underpaid or whatever it is in whatever industry. I don't know that it's necessarily that we are actually getting underpaid, is maybe that we're undervalued. So we think we're only worth something, and then you're like, oh, all of a sudden you find out somebody is making more than you when you thought you were making a good amount, right? So I think like at this moment, this last 6 months, I have come to recognize what our value is. And well, oh, you need a little props because of her. That's fine. Kinda. But you know what? She does have my back. It's your best friend. It's going to be the one that's like, no, you should not do that. This is what we're worth. You should be looking at yourself at a higher level or whatever it is. And it takes that person to help push you. And until I got there, now I feel every job that we do, I'm okay. I'm fine. If I have to go a little extra above and beyond, it's worth it because I'm going to give the best product. And before that, I think that there was like this, you had to be the best price, you had to be competitive. Well, you know what? At some point, you're paying for my service. I am going to bend over backwards. If you call me and I can get something done in 3 days, that's going to be a value to you and you're going to want to pay extra for it. So I think there's that like glass ceiling mentality, and I don't think that a lot of people recognize it until it actually happens.
You know, so I've written articles about like not only is discrimination like wrong ethically, but it's fucking stupid. Like if you're gonna rule out 18% of the United States that's black people, and I don't know what the percentage is of Hispanic, and 51% women, you're picking from this tiny section of workers, and it's just stupid. So I wonder if you have more luck, and I'm guessing you're not biased against women, do you have better luck in hiring, you think, and are picking from a bigger pool than maybe your competition? And everyone's complaining about getting workers. You think it's
We have an all-lady shop, so.
oh, there you go.
I think it's
All right.
intimidating for men to actually come and work at our shop, so I'm not sure
So,
I'm the best one to answer that.
so it's really successful. You want to talk about that then? I mean, is it
So actually, yes, we have had several men come through, and I love men. I think that everybody has something to offer. I'm not kidding. I mean, so my husband does a completely different business, but we have figured this system out that all these women now work there, and we all get along. There's no cattiness. There's no anger. If we have to talk to one another, we bring it up, and that also is not typical, right? I mean, usually you get mad and then you leave, whatever, but we definitely have a good group right now. Everybody is there on time. They want to work extra. Thankfully, I had a girl that just got in a motorcycle accident. My front counter girl has had to step into the embroidery room again, and we're all a little stretched thin. And the fact that I can count on all of them like they're sisters is amazing. We have a really tight group there.
and hiring has that been
Hiring,
easier? I mean, because everyone's complaining about it. I wonder if
It
with a
is
more
hard.
positive attitude about the general population, it helps.
So I'm fairly particular. I would take on more work personally until I find the right person. So ironically, mostly women actually come in and apply for the positions. And typically, when it is a man or a male, whatever, it is a friend. It's a friend's son or whatever looking for part-time work or whatever. So I think it is ironic that they come in and they feel comfortable to do something that's dirty. And that's not typical. I had a girl that came in from the church and taught her how to screen print, and I was like, this is going to be sweaty and hot, and it's going to be some fumes, and she's like, no, it's fine. And she challenged me. She was like, we need to go to the next level. I don't like how this looks. It was really very refreshing.
Any other comments on hiring? How that? No? Hiring or retention of
If anybody
employees?
is located near Frenchtown, New Jersey and needs a job. No, so I have had 3 girls work at my shop, and all of them were phenomenal. And I'm not saying that guys aren't great, but let's be real. Screen printing, you have to have the attention to detail. You have to be organized. And sometimes men just don't have that trait. Right now, unfortunately, I am the only female at my shop. And that's why I joined the Mafia. But I feel like screen printing is seen as obviously a male-dominated job because of the dirtiness part of it. However, if you're a female and you are clean and you are organized, your shop does not have to be dirty. Lint, ink, all of that stuff, it can be clean. You just have to work at it. So at the end of the day, are you leaving your screens up? Are you leaving ink buckets open? Are you doing all the stuff? When you drop ink on the floor, are you cleaning it up? Those are the things you can ask yourself and make screen printing not dirty anymore. Screen washing, different story. Can't help you there.
You know, the one thing you were saying about you're the only woman there, have you found a problem we have that if the ratio changes, it's harder then to recruit people? Like, women seem more comfortable when they see other women working there. We have a easier time hiring people when it's about equal or we have more women than otherwise.
Since I'm such a small shop, I don't necessarily think people are hesitant or girls are hesitant on coming, especially because I'm the person that they'd be speaking to start off.
You're the boss, that helps.
Yeah. So, and we also try and make it like a really great work environment. So I feel like, yes, maybe, but I also, everybody knows like there is like a shortage of employees right now in the workforce. So like, I'm not saying I'd take anybody right now, but like I'd kind of take anybody and, you know.
You just said it on tape.
throw them in, and, you know, if they float, great. If not, we try and work something out, maybe move them somewhere else in the shop and see what works for them. Like, that's what I always tell my people. I'm like, hey, if you're not happy with what you're doing, tell me that, because I don't want you to be miserable, because being miserable makes the rest of the shop miserable. Like, work culture is very important. I don't care what people say, like, oh, you're just here to do your job. Absolutely not. If you're not happy where you're working, then you shouldn't be working there.
So do you have a vision for what this develops into? Like, what's your hope for it? You know, short or long term? Have you guys thought about that at all? Or what's your hope for it?
So our first, obviously, is to help women in the industry. Safety, we have a few initiatives that we're working on. We also want to make sure that we're taking care of women outside of the industry. So one of the first things that we've done is we've decided that wherever we go, we're going to try to partner with a women's shelter, and then work with some vendors to hopefully do some good. Alexa reached out to the Atlantic City and didn't hear back from them, so she's working with a shelter closer to where she lives in Flemington.
Still in New Jersey, that's good.
It is. Shout out to S&S. They're donating 50 duffel bags and a Toltex tea for each duffel bag that we're donating to that shelter. They often carry their stuff from shelter to shelter in a trash bag, so at least it gives them some semblance of have their stuff together. And it's brand new. It's not something hand-me-down or used or thrift shop. So that's the very first thing that we're doing also. So
That's awesome, actually. So ancient history, when dinosaurs ruled the earth, a lot of these vendors would sell shirts and they would just give it to really lame charities. And it seems like a show should come to an area and do more than just buy beer.
We'll
You
do
know?
it for them.
You know what I mean?
We're just going to take care of it.
yeah,
That's,
it
if
seem-
something's not happening that should be happening, like
Yeah.
that's basically what we do.
Yeah,
We'll
that's
just
great.
Take care of it.
That's
Well,
great.
I think also we all come from small businesses, so then we're like already so invested in our community. So it only makes sense to do this there, wherever we are, right?
Yeah.
So now we can come together and make it a community effort.
Love it.
It's been, yeah.
Anything else? Anything else you want to say? Then maybe we'll have some questions. No burning things to say? No? All right. Any questions for these folks? Either general business questions or about the Print Girl Mafia they're doing? Go ahead. She wants to be in the Mafia.
Come here, girl. I got a sticker for you.
Give her a stabby thing.
I got some
So we
stickers.
do
You want a
have
tattoo?
more stickers. We
Yeah.
have temporary
this.
tattoos.
Women of action. I love
Mine
it.
is definitely temporary. I don't do needles.
All right.
And please, if you guys are going to be around for happy hour, it starts at 6:30. We still have some wristbands for that. I'd love to have you guys invited.
Yeah,
And
we'll
you
be
don't
back
e-
at the booth.
And you can get drunk before the happy hour, or you can have a drink before the happy hour. We have a happy hour at 4 here.
Excellent.
Get them
Look at
started,
that.
warmed up. There we go.
free
Other
happy hour.
questions? I mean, look what
If
happened.
you need
Ask
someone
for
to
a
watch
pony.
your drink, find
Ask-
one of us if you're at the bar and you have to go to the bathroom. We'll watch your drink for you. Just
Ah,
make sure.
Need little drink caps.
It's actually on my list.
Yeah, with the stabby thing.
Yeah.
All right, here's a question. Oh, thank you. That's a good one. Nice job.
That's exactly why we're doing this.
All right.
Like, we just
Uh,
are here to support you guys. So
Any other comments or questions?
no.
Not all at once.
You can always come to the booth if you're afraid to ask it in a room full of men.
Yeah. Plus,
No,
you'll-
but seriously, come to the booth. We have the stickers, temporary tattoos. We can chat. If you have an Anatol, we want to talk to you for sure.
Might be
Or a
Reese's
brown.
Or
eggs
if your
still.
name
I'm not
is
sure if we ate them all.
JoJo, or we need
no,
duplicates.
sorry.
all right, and
We
you'll
have shirts too. Shirts.
and you also hang around for a few minutes after, right? If for shy
Yeah.
people. Where's your booth? She asked. 300.
300.
All right. Good question. Any more questions? Comments? All right. Hang around for a couple minutes for shy folks to talk to you.
Yeah, sure.
No, ask
We'll
it.
sign autographs.
Thanst. All right. They'll hang around for a few minutes. At least
We're also
I see a
huggers.
couple of nodding heads. All right. How about a hand for the Print Girl Mafia folks here? Thank you. Thanks a lot. All right. I want to thank the sponsors, Lane 7, I'm going to print NASDAR, good memory here. Hirsch, Los Angeles Apparel, Alpha Broder, and Impressions. And thank you all for coming. There's a happy hour at 4 o'clock right here, and talks tomorrow. And thanks again.
Thanks for having us.